What's up guys, DuArktik here with another Marvel Strike Force video, and in this video we are going to talk about the Superior 6. We're going to take a look at their T4s, their ISO 8, how you should build them up in order for them to be successful. Now this is going to have some variations depending if you are using these characters together or if you are using the Sinister 6 in two different teams like you have here on the screen. And based on the characters that you are pairing up, the ISO 8 changes are probably going to change as well. In terms of the T4s, it's pretty consistent across the board. There are no like crazy T4s or anything like that. And then you are also going to evaluate the game modes where these characters are going to shine. And you can see from my gear investment that these characters are probably going to be very good. So keep that in mind. Okay, so as always, you'll have this information on my infographics. You can find them on my Discord. Link will be in the description of the video, where you also have the T4s, the ISO recommendations, and the best game modes for them. Now, in terms of the position of the team, I'm not going to give you this. Maybe in the future we'll have a video breaking down all the game modes for each of the characters and how can you pair them up together. But once again, because we are using them on two different teams, depending on how you have them paired up, the position of the characters is going to change. So this is not something we are going to approach here. Okay, that's going to be it. And as always, if you like the information on these videos, make sure you share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content, and make sure you smash that like button like a boss. Okay, so Green Goblin, he was released recently and he's fully built up. I've been able to test him out in different game modes, so I think we have some solid information there. So let's get started. Let's take a look at Green Goblin first, and then we'll go from there. Okay, so Green Goblin, in terms of T4s, basic increases more damage, it attacks multiple targets, not super important. You don't use his basic that often because the special has very low cooldown, so keep that in mind. It's okay T4, but it's not like a big deal overall. Now, the special, when you do the T4, you're applying trauma to the primary target for 1 turn, in Cosmic Crucible for 2 turns. You also double the amount of damage that you do, so you go from 300 to 650. So this is definitely a pretty decent T4. You can use it turn 1, you can use it turn 2, you can pretty much use it whenever you want to, because of the such amazing low cooldown, and the effect as a whole is great. So this is one of those T4s that is greatly recommended, especially in Cosmic Crucible. Then we have the ultimate, and the ultimate is going to apply trauma to all enemies if they don't have positive effects. I'm not sure if this ability is working properly because I think it always applies the trauma anyway. And if this character has a Sinister 6 protector, this is going to be Rhino or Lizard. You are going to apply Safeguard to all Sinister 6 allies, which will prevent the enemies from removing your positive effects. Now, this is very important T4, because if you have this guy paired up with Lizard, and Lizard copies the positive effects to the enemies and then spreads to the entire team, you need this Safeguard to make sure that these positive effects are not going anywhere, especially when you are facing teams like the Eternals. That can happen quite often. So this T4 is definitely good for both of the effects, for the trauma and also for the Safeguard. Finally, we have the passive for Green Goblin, and this passive is extremely important. Some people do not understand. Even envoys do not understand why they cannot land ability block on the Sinister 6 characters, and the reason why it's because of this passive. If you have charge on Green Goblin, and you can get charges on spawn or when Dr. Octopus uses his special, if Green Goblin has charges, you cannot apply ability block to these characters, or vulnerability. So Striker ISO 8, for example, are not going to work. So this is a very powerful T4. It makes the Sinister 6 team very strong early game, because you land stuns or you have nothing against them. And then we also have additional damage on the passive, which is not a big deal, it's normal damage. But if your Green Goblin is built up enough, and because you are also attacking multiple targets, this can be quite nice. So those are going to be the T4s for Green Goblin, pretty much all the T4s except the basic. Now let's take a look at Craven. Craven is a very interesting T4. He has some abilities that can help counter Apocalypse, that can help counter Super Scroll, Dormammu even, but it really depends on, once again, how you are pairing up these characters. Are you using Sinister 6? Are you using Superior 6? Which characters you have together with him? But with this basic, it's going to do normal damage to primary target and one additional target. Normal damage, not a big deal. It's not going to be a striker in most cases, so I would definitely not do this T4. Then we have the special flip immunity on the primary target, so this is going to be great against, for example, Apocalypse versus Apocalypse, or when you're facing Super Scroll. You get stealth and immunity early on, and you can flip those, so it's going to be great. And any kind of character that has immunity, this is going to be very, very powerful. Okay, so this is definitely a T4 that you should consider. Maybe not a priority, but something that is going to open a lot of doors for you. Another one that is going to open a lot of doors for you is this one right here. Big Game Hunter, the ultimate of Craven, is going to flip all stealth on each target. Right now on Season 5 of Cosmic Crucible on Room 4, this ability is very, very powerful. And because we have so many Sinister 6 characters, you could use one team on defense or on another room and have this character specifically to attack in room 4, because as you can see right here, there is no limitation of Sinister 6 characters. So you could even have this guy with some other team just to flip the stealth on the enemies. Beyond that, he also does damage, he also applies some bleeds and so on. So the higher you have this ability, the more bleed damage this guy is going to do to the enemies, and yes, the stealth also flips to bleed. So overall, this is a decent T4 for sure, probably the best one on Craven. And finally, we have his passive on spawn. If this character has 2 or more Superior 6 allies, apply Safeguard to all Sinister 6 allies and himself. So once again, depending on which characters you have, you are going to be able to apply Safeguard on spawn. With Lizard, this is very, very good, but if you are using Lizard, Craven, and Craven, you should also use the Spider Slayer and 2 more. So like this, you have a wide variety of Superior 6 options. So you can use Dr. Octopus with Green Goblin, and then use these other 3 in other team, or some mixture in between those, but I think that's the one with the most value. So is this a good T4? Probably not. Once again, depends on the team and depends on the enemies that you are facing. So for most part, it's not going to be a big deal. And now for some reason, my browser closed the window. That's fine. Okay, we are back. So let's move on to the next character. We have Lizard. Lizard is a very important character for the Sinister 6 and for the Superior 6. So this is definitely a character that we should be looking out for. With the basic, is going to do more damage, and the damage is piercing, is going to attack up to 3 targets, nice, and is also going to apply bleed, nice. So this is okay T4. The cooldowns that he has are a little bit longer, so we're probably going to use the basic a few times, and especially if you are using this character as a fortifier or as a striker, which is not probably the main option, but it's a possibility, then this additional damage is going to be great because you'll have more drain or more bleed damage. So overall, it's okay T4, not a priority, nothing like good, but something that can be somewhat useful. Then we have the special, and with the special you are going to do more damage to all enemies, and if any target is Spider-Verse hero or support, apply ability block to that target. So which characters do we have that are important, that are support? Well, we have Apocalypse, right? We have Apocalypse, and this can be quite useful. Now, usually Apocalypse has Safeguard and Immunity, so this is on a situation where you're using Lizard with also Mysterio, so Apocalypse does not have immunity. And Lizard, he can go faster than everyone else, so that means that he's going to be able to ability block Apocalypse before he goes. Is he able to apply ability block to Super Scroll? Maybe, we'll see. It depends on how many buffs the team starts off with. So with if you are facing Apocalypse, you'd have to use Mysterio. If you are facing Super Scroll, you probably don't have to use Mysterio, and that can be advantage to you. Okay, so The special is definitely a T4 that you should consider. Moving on to the ultimate, copy and clear all positive effects from all enemies to self. But be careful because you cannot copy dodges or evades because it's not unavoidable. But overall, this is a must-have T4. This is a new ability that the character gets. You can see right here, it's a new ability. Whenever you get a new ability, you probably should do this T4. And this one, especially on turn 1, is very, very powerful. Definitely very powerful. Definitely must-have on Lizard. And finally, we have the passive for Lizard. If you do this T4, you're going to get a 30% block chance up from 0. And in my opinion, this is a garbage T4. It's not a big deal. 30%, I mean, it's okay. When you block, you reduce the damage by 25%. But when you have a 30% chance of block, I mean, that's going to be very rare. So I would probably skip this T4 on Lizard and just focus on the ultimate and on the special. Moving on, we have Spider Slayer, and the Spider Slayer is an interesting character. It can be a little bit T4 heavy because you probably have to do the basic and other ones as well, but he can do some funny stuff. He's going to be released today. We're going to be testing him out live. Make sure you join us on YouTube or on Twitch, 8 p.m. Central European Time. And yeah, we'll be testing this character in different game modes as well, so make sure you tune in. Okay, so with this basic, he's going to attack the primary target multiple times with the piercing damage, and with the isolate attack, he's also going to do additional piercing damage. So this is definitely a character that you should consider the basic. He's very likely going to be a striker because of all this piercing damage that he does. So of course, if you have a character with piercing damage plus striker, you should do the basic T4. Then we have the special. The special is going to attack all enemies for more piercing damage, and is going to apply defense up deflect to all villains. So this is great because it's going to give him value even outside of his own team. And not only is doing more damage, he's also buffing the teams for defense up plus the deflect. So that's going to be 50% damage reduction plus guaranteed block, which is going to reduce the damage for additional 25%. This is a 4 energy cooldown ability. So in my opinion, this is a very, very good T4. And once again, we have this extra viability with other villain characters. Moving on to the ultimate. Big cooldown on this ultimate. Breaking news. It's available on turn 2. Depending on the team that you are facing, because on his passive you'll see that he's going to get energy if you are facing Spider-Verse characters. So this could be your first ability versus Spider-Verse, or a second ability if you are not against the Spider-Verse. And with this ability you are going to increase the damage by 80% of the first attack and the second attack of the primary target, all piercing damage. And then you have guaranteed call 2 allies with the highest damage to assist on the primary target. If you have Vulture with this character, Vulture is also going to activate his basic bonuses with negative effects, and also if they are below 50% health. So this ability, together with Vulture, or maybe some characters like Lizard with very strong basics, this ability is definitely going to shred your enemies. Probably is going to one-shot some of your targets, and it's my theory that you can pretty much one-shot Super Scroll if you are able to reach him early on, because this ability does so much damage, it's pretty ridiculous. On top of that, you also have Drain, so of course the more damage you do with the ability, the more Drain or health back you are going to get. So yeah, this is a very powerful T4 for sure for Spider Slayer. Finally, we have his passive. In Cosmic Crucible, when this character or any Sinister 6 ally has offense up, gain 100% accuracy. Now, I don't know what this means. Does it give accuracy to any Sinister 6 with offense up? Or any character with offense up is going to give accuracy to Spider Slayer? We don't know for sure. This is why we need to test out these characters. And once again, we'll be live on YouTube today, testing that out. Today is 27 of November. Okay, so this T4, in my opinion, you should definitely skip and just focus on the other ones. I mean, we already have the ultimate, the special, and the basic, so that's pretty much enough T4s for a Spider Slayer. Okay, we have the last character, Dr. Octopus, and this is an OG character, so you probably already have T4s on him, but once again, let's check it out. On the basic, single target damage, not piercing damage, no special effects, so we are definitely going to skip the basic on Dr. Octopus. Then with the special, whenever you activate a special, you are going to get 3 charges instead of 2. The more charges we get, the better. And it's also going to get a new ability. So you are also going to flip 3 negative effects into positive effects on all Sinister Six allies. This ability is very, very powerful. Once again, this is a brand new ability since the rework. So the special right now is a must-have T4 if it wasn't already in the past for Dr. Octopus. Then we have the ultimate, attacks all enemies. We are going to increase that damage for 60% on all targets. It's normal damage, so it's not a big deal. And we are not getting any function. Now, if you flip positive effects into negative effects, bleeds maybe, you might have a little bit of increase of damage, but I don't think this is significant enough for you to apply a T4 to Dr. Octopus. So I would definitely skip this one. Finally, we have the passive for Dr. Octopus, and is going to give 15% damage to himself and also chargeable Sinister Six allies. And the chargeable Sinister Six allies, if I remember correctly, we have Lady Electro, we have Swarm, we have also the new Green Goblin, and I think that's pretty much it. Is also chargeable. Is there any other character that is chargeable and I don't remember? Maybe there is. You guys let me know in the comments below which are the other Sinister Six characters that are chargeable. Okay, so those are all the T4s that you need for this team. Now let's talk about their ISO weight. In terms of ISO weight for a Green Goblin, we have a few options. We have Raider, we have Striker, you also have Skirmisher. I like the Skirmisher ISO weight based on my playstyle. He goes very early. He's going to apply trauma to all targets. The enemies that he's going to face, they usually have a lot of resistance. We're going to be facing Super Scrolls, Apocalypses, we are going to face Darkholds quite often, maybe some Quicksilvers as well. So because of that, I went with the Skirmisher ISO weight. Now, you could also use him as a striker to make sure that he always applies defense down for the enemies, but because the defense down is only for 1 turn, I'm not a big fan of this ability. So once again, it's a possibility to strike it on him for those defense downs, but it's just something I'm just not focusing in. Then we have the Raider, and the Raider is always an option when we have characters that attack multiple targets. He attacks multiple targets with his passive, and he also attacks multiple targets with his ultimate, with the basic as well. So it's a possibility. Once again, it's going to depend on your play style. If you don't really care about the negative effects and you just want some more damage, the Raider is going to be an option. Just remember that if the enemies have a lot of deflects, Raider is not going to work properly. Then we have Kraven the Hunter. He applies some bleeds, so Striker is an option, but I just prefer the Skirmisher for him as well, because this ability block that he applies to the enemies, the flipping of the positive effects and stealth on the enemies, is so important in today's meta. So I'm just going to go for Skirmisher for safety, for consistency against the characters that we are facing. And this is coming from myself, that I'm on top 100 of Cosmic Crucible players, and I'm facing people with like 80 million, 100 million TCP. So I think this is the best way to go around if you want to punch up against other accounts that have way more money than you to spend. Moving on to Lizard. Lizard is another character that has several options available. You can use him as a Fortifier, level 5 for the Drain. He also does not give himself a defense up, so the minor defense up from the Fortifier is going to be great. The Barrier is also going to be great for this guy, so Fortifier level 5 blue is definitely a good option. Beyond that, you could use him as a Skirmisher or as a Striker. The Skirmisher is going to allow him to copy and clear all the positive effects from the enemies, as long as they don't have Safeguard. So having additional focus is going to be very important, especially if you are not using Lizard together with Craven, because Craven gives more focus to everyone. So based on that, Skirmisher is going to be a good option as well, and based on what we saw, all the piercing damage that he does, also the bleeds that he does, the Striker Isolate is also an option for him. Moving on, we have Spider Slayer. We have a very strong, powerful single target damage, so when you have that, you usually want to go with a Striker. He also does tons and tons of piercing damage, once again to single target, so once again that's going to be important. And the Raider is okay, not very important in my opinion, it's just the second best option. Skirmisher, he doesn't apply negative effects, so that's not going to be an option for sure. Finally, we have a Dr. Octopus, and Dr. Octopus, he has many options. You can use him as a healer for more healing with his special. You can use him as a fortifier to make sure that he stays alive for longer, with additional drain, with a barrier, with also the minor defense up. Fortifier is also a good option. Then you can also use him as a skirmisher, making sure that you are applying this slow for 2 turns, very important, but also making sure that you are flipping the positive effects into negative effects on the enemies, and also extending the negative effects on the enemies. This is important, the extend is affected by focus, so keep that in mind. And the only option I would say is not good for him is Raider and Striker, because it's the least value based on everything that Dr. Octopus does. Okay, so those are all the options in terms of T4s and ISO weight for this team. Now you're going to finalize by talking about what kind of investment you should give to these guys, which are the best game modes for them, and that usual stuff. So once again, the team position, ignore this, it's not important. Now, in terms of Blitz, all of these characters are going to be very good. First off, because we have so many Sinister 6 characters, so we can divide them together. I usually give 5 stars to characters that can win on their own, 4 stars for characters that only need a few members of their team in order to be successful, and these characters definitely meet those expectations. In terms of arena right now, Green Goblin can be used in arena. We're going to take a look at a few videos of that pretty soon. The other ones not so much, so whenever we update this, we are going to fix the arena ranking for Green Goblin. This is the first impressions infographic, but yeah, we already confirmed that Green Goblin can be very useful in arena. In terms of raids, right now, because these characters are all part of different tags, so one is bio, other is tech, other is skill. So because of that, we are not going to use these characters together, so you're going to forget about raids. In terms of Dark Dimension, Lizard, Green Goblin, Dr. Octopus, Craven, they are very good. Green Goblin on his own is not that great, and Dr. Octopus on his own is decent, but when you use them together, they are a lot better. And Lizard and Craven the Hunter, they are going to be a lot better too, if you have them paired up with Vulture. And that's why all these characters have 4 stars rather than 5, because once again, they are dependent on other characters in order to be at their full potential. In terms of Alliance Wars, where you use the Sinister 6 or the Superior 6, these characters are going to be amazing. In terms of Avengers Tower, once again, because you can use them together or not, these characters are going to be amazing as well. And in Cosmic Crucible, I mean, most of them are made for Cosmic Crucible, so this is definitely the mode where they are going to shine on. And on Season 5, they are going to have a lot of value, because they're also getting some additional bonuses. So as you can see, the Sinister 6 is going to be a very powerful team. So I would definitely recommend you to build to maximum level Dr. Octopus, Green Goblin, Craven, Lizard, and not Spider Slayer. And the reason why not Spider Slayer, so what I mean is that you could build all these characters to gear tier 18 and get as many yellow stars, red stars, and so on these characters. But for Spider Slayer, not so much, because he has less value in all the other game modes. And it's not like a lot, but the gear tier 17 should be enough for him. He's not super dependent on the stats either way, because he's doing that piercing damage and buffing the team. And it's going to be more important for the other characters to have additional survivability and so on for him. And we have so many tech characters to focus on that Spider Slayer, unfortunately for him, is not a priority. But overall, this is a great team. This is a great combination of characters. And this is definitely something you should be focusing on if you want to be successful on Marvel Strike Force. So that's going to be the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you smash that like button. And if you found the video helpful, make sure to share it with your friends on Facebook and Discord. If you're new to my channel, make sure to subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force content. And I'll catch you guys later.